it is time once again for our Thursday and Wednesday or Friday, whenever we do a 1 p.m. show, for our MLB power rankings. And of course, some things have changed, but not a lot. So let's take a look at where we're at with our power rankings. Of course, the main thing there is the Mariners. They might also be a wagon. They might also be a wagon, but
I think they are a wagon. They got 2 8-game win streaks in the month of August.
That is impressive.
It almost seems mathematically, it's obviously not, but it's pretty hard to do.
It's almost as odd as thinking about this Diamondbacks team right now that's won, what is it, 7 out of 9 or something like that?
It's just
9 out of 11.
9 out of 11.
Imagine if they had been
like that, how bad they were during that stretch. Yeah, just
if they had been average,
just slightly below 500 baseball instead of just atrocious losing streaks.
On this list.
For those of you on the audio side, we'll go over this real fast for you. We have the Atlanta Braves at number 1, the Los Angeles Dodgers at 2, Baltimore Orioles at 3. Those pesky Seattle Mariners at 4, the Rays at 5, the Astros at 6, Texas Rangers dropping like a rock at 7, Blue Jays in there at 8, Phillies in there at 9, and the Brewers making their first appearance, at least in the recent memory, they're at number 10 on the list. But obviously with the Rangers' struggles, including getting swept by the Diamondbacks and getting swept by the Brewers in back-to-back series, caused them to have the biggest drop this week, dropping 4 spots to number 7.
Yeah, this was tough. There's like this cluster of teams kind of in the middle here that I just couldn't. I went back and forth and I went through probably like 100 permutations of like the middle 4 teams before. I don't think that's mathematically impossible, but the Orioles, the Mariners, the Rays, the Astros, the Rangers, even the Blue Jays, I think are kind of part of that same category.
Yeah.
I tried. It's really hard to rank those teams. They're all in a very similar spot. Given how well the Mariners have played, though, I think they're safely in the top 5 at this point for me, at least in terms of power rankings, in terms of who you would least like to play right now. The Mariners are just insane. Yeah. I mean, they've sustained some injuries. Robbie Ray is out for the season, hasn't pitched for them this year, and they still have
that's wild.
An incredible starting
wild
rotation. And the offense has started to pick up as well here in recent days. J-Rod has been the hottest hitter on the planet, and they've gotten some contributions from some Diamondbacks hitters.
That's right. That
former Diamondbacks hitters as well.
That trade seems to have worked out okay for them right now, considering the improvements we're seeing from both Josh Rojas and Dominic Canzone.
Bar was on the floor. It's not like they've been great.
No,
Bar was on the floor
but Rojas is hitting 255, 286, 426 overall since being traded to Seattle. And over his last 10 games,
I hate Jace Peterson.
353, 389, 588 in his past 10 games.
I also hate Jace Peterson.
That is pretty impressive. Dominic Canzone is hitting 278, 350, 528 in his past 11 games. So both guys have been playing much better than they were playing for the Diamondbacks over there for the Seattle Mariners. But
the Mariners fans are so convinced that Dominic Canzone is the next Mitch Haniger. Like they're just like he's already there in their minds. I'm pretty sure. It's funny.
Well, we could say we regret that trade all we want, but Paul Sewald, by the way, is 6 for 7 in save opportunities with a 3.38 ERA and a 1.75 WHIP since coming over here. Opposing batters are batting 273, 385, 455 against him, which isn't great.
It's not good.
It's not great. The results are good, but that result is not very good. But Rangers, they were a team that were looking, especially when they made their trade, they were definitely in the driver's seat for the AL, and it doesn't look like that's the case anymore.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan Montgomery's been everything they possibly could have hoped for and more.
And what we would have hoped he would have been for us.
Yeah. Imagining the Diamondbacks with Jordan Montgomery right now. I mean, they did 8 shutout innings the other day against the D-backs. That was impressive. And I think every start he's made for the Rangers, he's gone 6 or more innings and allowed 2 or fewer runs. That'll play in the middle of your rotation.
It feels like that was the one thing that was missing from the Diamondbacks. I mean, even with the success they've had lately, we're still finding ourselves saying, what are they going to do when we look at the probables for this start and this start? And is this going to be a bullpen start or not? So, man, it's frustrating to see him having the success he had and wondering what it would have taken to maybe get him for the Diamondbacks. But the Rangers are just 2 games away from being dropped out of the playoff picture altogether there in the American League.
The American League West is fascinating.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the Astros have been the best team in baseball over the last 5 years, generally speaking. And they're like just the team that's not being talked about in that race at all.
Yeah.
Like, they're still very much, they're a half game above Seattle. But yeah, Seattle just came up out of nowhere. And before you know it, the Rangers, after being the best team in baseball, or at least the best offense in baseball for a lot of the season, might just be up out of the playoffs all of a sudden.
It's wild.
Let's go Red Sox.
Let's talk about more teams that suck, including the New York Yankees. Let's go.
Sean, the New York Yankees are terrible.
Dog shit. Last time they lost 9 straight games, my mom had to walk in a single file line to lunch because she was in elementary school. That's the last time they lost 9 straight games. Bums. Aaron Boone, I hope you enjoy retirement because you're not going to be getting checks from the Yankees after. Oh, you probably still will because they're going to have to pay you.
Yeah.
But you're not going to be coaching games because you're a bum. Yankees are full of bums.
You want to get it
Fuck
all
them
in your
all. They're
system.
bums.
Like we brought this segment up just for you.
No, the Yankees suck. I mean, they're an absolute poverty franchise. I literally couldn't imagine being a
The
Yankees.
Yankees are a poverty franchise.
They're a poverty franchise. I could not imagine being a Yankees fan. Damon and I have talked about this. It's literally the worst experience in all of sports, being a New York Yankees fan.
It's the troubles and tribulations that Yankees fans have had to go through.
It's
Yeah.
You
unbelievable.
just feel bad for them.
I could not do it.
Yeah.
I am not built like Yankees fans, who are the toughest fans in all of sports,
Apparently,
because they're miserable. Their teams are miserable.
they have not finished last in the AL East since I was 11 years old.
Oh,
so
man.
there goes another one for you on that.
Sucks to suck.
1992. They have their 2 superstars, and then the rest of the
Garrett Cole's
team.
great.
Garrett Cole's the best pitcher in baseball,
The
and they
rest-
still suck.
The
Aaron
rest
Judge
of that
is
starting
right.
rotation, man, it's rough. And they've had some injuries, but Carlos Rodon is back now and is just not at all the
Not
same
him.
pitcher that he was. That contract honestly looks kind of disastrous at this point for them.
Diamondbacks dodged a bullet there because that was some guy that we
Yeah,
were
there
talking
you
about
go.
at one
Chalk
point.
that up as a
Yeah,
win
there
for
you
the
go.
Arizona
We
Diamondbacks.
got to make note of the wins as much as the losses, right? We can't just celebrate the
cannot
losses.
Wait for that series. The
Yeah.
D-backs versus the Yankees.
Yeah.
I might not be on the show if it goes poorly,
Yeah,
but if
if it does,
y'all won't be on the show, I'm gonna be hosting that shit by myself.
But there's other terrible teams besides the Yankees.
No, there's
White
not.
Sox are continue to be terrible.
The Yankees are the only bad team in baseball.
They just dismissed their GM Rick Hahn and executive VP Kenny Williams from their duty. Hahn
they
was
gonna
the
move?
GM from 2012 until now, and they might move.
That's crazy.
They might move
In what world have the White Sox been good enough for that GM to have a job
for
for
11
a
years.
decade?
Yeah, 11 years.
And
Yeah.
what like
That is a very fair point.
Yeah.
what have they done over the last 11 years?
And
They
Kenny-
traded Chris Sale for Yohan Moncada.
Well, Kenny Williams was actually the GM before him, and so he's been part of the organization since 2001.
Well, at least he has
That's
like a
really
World Series to
insane.
show for it.
Right.
Fucking what?
And like you said, now there's talk that the White Sox might move to Nashville. Like Jesse said before we got on the show, that's just the thing to do now. When you want a new
Yeah.
stadium or you
Oh,
want
yeah.
stadium upgrades, you threaten to move to Nashville.
I'll tell you this right now. There needs to be a damn baseball team in Nashville. That city's awesome.
Well-
it cannot handle traffic for its life, but it is a cool city.
If it
and
was
it
the
That
needs
White
doesn't
baseball.
bode
Sox,
well.
that would make me sick.
Here's the thing, though.
Yeah, the White Sox
If there are 2 teams in baseball that cannot threaten this, it is the Los Angeles Angels and the goddamn Chicago White Sox, because they are both in a position that fans in that city will be like, yeah, we have a team. Bye. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not saying people aren't Angels fans or White Sox fans, but
it's different with the White Sox because the White Sox are like a franchise I have some respect for.
they're
in
also
general.
Chicagoans, so they will totally be like, "Oh, fuck me, I'm gonna go buy a Chicago Cubs jersey right now."
one
Like,
of
I
our
mean,
one of
that's
our
the way they-
CHGO White Sox guys, I can't remember who it was, but he tweeted out. He was like, 2 things are true. I do not want the White Sox to move, and I do not want to give them a cent of public money.
Yeah,
So it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
both things
I think
can be
there's a
true.
lot of
Yeah.
people there who are kind of like you're saying, are like, I love the White Sox. I don't want to see them move, but go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
You're billionaires.
Yep.
Like, get your own shit.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were a resident of Nashville, like as an outsider in this situation, and you heard a story about the White Sox potentially moving in, you'd
Stay
be
the
like,
fuck away.
we already have a AAA team.
Yeah. Stay the fuck away.
Zing!
Get
Yeah,
out.
no.
Sorry, I had to.
No,
Sure
that
had
was
to.
beautiful.
You're like, no.
But
Own.
honestly, like that franchise, not necessarily like it's the White Sox. They're cool, and like they haven't always been a complete joke. But like, I don't want a franchise. Like it's kind of like the Athletics. It's like I would rather have a franchise that's not a complete joke move here.
Yeah.
Like the Brewers I could live with that. The Brewers are not a complete joke. Like, they haven't accomplished anything, but they're not like a laughing stock. Maybe because they play in Milwaukee, but like in general, I want.
They're
NFL to
like
have a
the
team.
oldest franchise that's never won a World Series. The Brewers. They're kind of a joke.
But they're not like a laughing stock. Like, people no one just gives a shit about that. Like,
They're in first
I
place
hear
right
the
now.
Brewers, and I don't be like, oh, that franchise is a joke. They just don't win. They don't really win stuff, and they play in the AL Central. But like,
Speaking of teams that aren't laughing stocks, the Washington Nationals.
Davey Martinez,
Let's go.
we ride for Davey. Like,
They just gave him a 2-year extension.
yeah. When I saw the news, I was like, what in the hell? And then Damon walks in later that day, and it's like, I don't know if you knew this, but the Nationals are only 8 games out of the playoffs. They're like right there with the Padres and the. I mean, I don't know if they are right now.
They nearly
Padres are
have the
5
same
out,
record as the New York Mets. Right now, they are 58-68. The Mets are 59-68.
and we are so close to a world in which the Washington Nationals finish the season with a better record than the New York Yankees, and that is going to be awesome.
That
'Cause
also
who
is
is
a
on
thing.
who is on the Washington Nationals? Name me 4 players. Name me 2 players that aren't C.J. Abrams, Josiah Gray, or name me 2 players.
Stone Garrett.
Or Stone Garrett. That's it. Yeah. I knew I was forgetting another.
I know you didn't.
Like, there's nobody on
That's
that
all
team.
I got. That's all I
There's
got.
not the ghost of Steven Strasburg still haunts the clubhouse. I don't know where the hell he's been. They're still paying him.
Let's be honest about that, right? Isn't this literally the problem with spending a lot of money on a baseball team? Like, you can literally you can have a team of no-name guys go 58-68. You gave up your big superstar player, and the team is somehow more successful than they were when he was part of the organization. And I mean, again, you have to start moving on at some point, especially, you know, when you lose someone like Juan Soto. But it's just wild, because baseball is this sport where a guy is considered to be worth tens of millions of dollars more simply because he hits the ball 29% of the time instead of this guy that hits the ball 26% of the time,
Yeah,
right?
fair.
Like, it's kind of
It's
crazy.